Welcome back, everyone. I am Psycho Emerald. Today I'm back with another Star Wars The Vintage Collection action figure unboxing and review. Today we have the new Obi-Wan Kenobi from the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. And I have been gone for a little while. I just wanted to address that before we start. I've been gone for a little while, and to be plain and simple about it, I've been gone because I haven't had any figures to review. I would have loved to be making consistent videos for you guys, but I didn't have any money to buy figures with for a little while, and so that's why there hasn't been very many videos. It hasn't been me like neglecting the channel or anything like that, but I appreciate all you guys sticking around. The Darth Vader video has been getting quite a few views, which is totally awesome. Thank you all if you came over from that video to this one. Really appreciate that. And videos will be coming more consistently. To get a little bit off topic but still on topic of the channel, I got a job finally, so getting a job means I'll have more money, and more money means more money to spend on figures. So hopefully I'll be getting a lot more figures to review for the channel and have more consistent content going into the future. So if you guys want to stick around, support me in this endeavor of creating action figure reviews. I've been at it for like 2.5 years, and hopefully it'll finally start getting a little bit more consistent. If you want to stick around, support me, please consider subscribing, leaving a like. Well, leave a like if you watch the video and enjoy it, but I don't mind you just sticking around and watching. I really appreciate that too. Just anyone who just views my video, even just for a couple minutes, I really appreciate that. So I appreciate each and every one of you who is here, and each and every one of you who is still here after that long-winded rant. So here we are with Obi-Wan Kenobi, Wandering Jedi, and as a reward for all of you who stuck through that ramble, here I have a sneak peek for you of videos coming up on the channel. We have Reva, the third sister, awesome looking figure, and we have the Mandalorian Super Commando from the Clone Wars, also an awesome looking figure. Both of these reviews are coming up probably not too long after this one, maybe a day, maybe 2 days after this one, I don't know, but those reviews will be coming up on the channel. So if you want to stay in the loop on that, maybe subscribe, or just check your recommended, come back to the channel and see if those go up anytime soon. So yeah, I appreciate you guys sticking around. Let's get into the review. So yeah, I really enjoyed the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, and this figure, it looks all right. I wasn't planning on getting it, and I honestly probably wouldn't have gotten it if it wasn't for that get two for the price of one deal that was at my local comic book shop, which is the whole reason I got all three of these figures. Was I went in there looking for Black Series. I'm more of a Black Series guy, but I think Vintage Collection is honestly just as good as Black Series. Black Series is just my personal preference, but I love 3 3/4 inch figures as well. And so being able to get 3 for the price of 2 was just awesome. So yeah, those reviews will be coming up. And yeah, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Wandering Jedi. The reason I was hesitant about buying this is because all the shots I saw of it online, the head sculpt did not look very good. It looks a whole lot better actually seeing it in person, but it's still not great. But we'll get to that when we actually get to figure out. We got this picture of Obi-Wan here. I think this is from the 2nd episode when he was on Dayu, but I'm not actually 100% sure. There we have the title, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You have the name pill with this cool kind of teal color in the background. Definitely a cool color scheme. You can see him with all of his accessories. He comes with a good amount of accessories. We get Lola, which I hope we get a young Leia figure in TVC. That would be really cool, because then we'd have something to do with these Lolas, because Obi-Wan doesn't have Lola very often, but it's at least cool that Lola exists. And then here we have all the other figures that came out recently. I have that Darth Vader. Like I said, I did a review of that. So if you guys came over from that review, I really appreciate that. And that was a really fun review to do. So I'll link that up in the corner up there. It's an awesome figure. Probably my favorite figure of all time, to be completely honest with you. Comic book shop tag. They do mark their stuff up a little bit at comic book shop, but I really don't mind because I love going and shopping there. And yeah, age warnings, Kenner logo. You can see Obi-Wan right there looking pretty cool. And yeah, the card's a little bit bent, but I'm gonna be opening it. I'm not gonna be destroying it. Don't you worry, all you TVC connoisseurs. I will be trying my best to preserve this packaging as we get into the unboxing segment here. Pop the figure out. All right, so here he is in the tray. So he comes with his blaster, Lolas, and his 2 different lightsabers, which is something I really wish the Black Series would start doing, because it's a lot better than having the removable blades. I really don't know why Black Series insists on continuing to do the removable blade mechanism instead of the separate hilts. But at least TVC gets it right, and I'm glad that I'm not someone who's opposed to doing both TBS and TVC, because I really like both. Both scales are really good. Both lines have things going for them. I'm not picking a side. I'm on both sides, if that's even possible, because I will argue for both lines, because they are both great. But just be aware, there is a lot of tape on the accessories. There's tiny little lightsaber hilt, tiny little Lolas as well. Oh, her little legs fell off. And his blaster. Oh, it's kind of rubbery, which is good. Makes it easier to get it out. Okay, so uncivilized. And then let's get Obi-Wan himself out of the package. There we go. So I will get all the packaging out of the way and we'll take a look at Obi-Wan Kenobi. All right, so here's the Obi-Wan Kenobi figure, and there's some cool things and some annoying things. So most annoying thing is the soft goods. I love the way they look, of course, and they don't hinder articulation nearly as much as like a vinyl plastic robe would, but it does hinder the articulation at the elbows, so it's very difficult to get him into his two-handed lightsaber poses, and the cloak kind of goes up around his hand, so it's hard to get him to hold the lightsaber in his hands. It's just kind of cumbersome, but it's worth it, I think, because it doesn't hinder the articulation nearly as much as a plastic cloak would. But you can see the lightsabers look really cool as well, but we'll get to that later. But mainly I wanted to put the lightsaber in his hands and show you. It is a little difficult to try to get him to do a two-handed pose because the robe is very thick, so it keeps his arms from bending all the way to get kind of a natural looking two-handed pose with the lightsaber. So that is a little bit of an annoyance, but it's not that big of a deal because, like I said, I'd rather have the cloak on than not. But you've got the belt back here where you can store the unignited hilt with the peg. Just like that, just like we saw in the show, which is really, really cool. And the details look really good. The kind of wrinkles in his clothing to make it look real. The cloak can pretty easily be taken off, so you would probably achieve a two-handed lightsaber pose once the cloak is taken off. But other than that, we're not really going to get that two-handed pose. Because, yeah, the elbows can bend really far, and look how easy it is without the cloak to get that two-handed pose. Very easy. Another problem is this hand doesn't grip the lightsaber very tightly, so it's hard to get it to stay in that hand. But so you can get a good two-handed pose once you have the cloak off. It's just he didn't fight with the lightsaber when he didn't have the cloak on. So yeah, let's get into, well, I guess if you look down at the pants, he's got his boots there as well as his pants, which look really good. Back here, he's got a holster for the pistol, which I think will fit. Here, one second. Fits super easily and nicely in there. Sorry, I just didn't want to bump the camera, so I did it behind the camera. But yeah, boots look good. All the colors on everything look very good, very natural, realistic, all that stuff. The blaster, we could also, while we're at it, this is kind of just me playing around with the figure, but I think that's more fun than like having a strict formula to the review. Let's put the blaster pistol in there. That fits perfectly into his hand. See, this figure has a lot of really good stuff to it, mainly without the cloak. It's very dynamic. The articulation's very nice. You could put the pistol back there, all that stuff. But you want to have him with the cloak on because that was the look, you know? So it's just unfortunate that once the cloak is on, the articulation is limited, but there is really good articulation, pretty much on par with Black Series. Like I say, pretty much every Vintage Collection review, pretty much on par with Black Series. There's not really anything separating these guys except for the size, because obviously TVC is a much smaller scale, but I'd say it's pretty much just as good of quality as the Black Series. So let's move on to the final thing, the most glaring thing, which is the head sculpt, which I will say looks way better in person than I thought it would, but it's still not great. The Black Series version is much better, but I'd say this is okay. It's pretty good. It could be a lot better. I think maybe the eyes could be a little smaller. I think his eyes are much too big, and it kind of makes him look almost kind of cartoonish, but that's the only thing, and it looked way worse in the promo shots, but now that I have him in hand, it doesn't look nearly as bad, so that's a plus. So So yeah, let's put his cloak back on him. All right, so there's the cloak back on Obi-Wan, and it lays pretty nicely. I think they tailored it and like stitched it really nicely, especially for such a small figure to put this much effort into making sure the cloak lays naturally on him. It looks really good. I just wish it didn't hinder the articulation as much. And you'll pretty much hear me say that every time a figure has soft goods. It's like, it looks great. I'm glad that it's soft goods, but I wish it didn't hinder the articulation as much as it does, but it just does that. And yeah, so that's going to pretty much be it on that. Let's take a closer look at the accessories. All right, so to start, we have the lightsaber hilt right here, which these look amazing. Honestly, like the chrome paint really stands out. At least it does in hand. I don't know if it'll stand out as much on camera, especially because of how small these things are and how difficult it is to kind of work with them. But they look like super chrome, super shiny and metallic, and I love that. Here we have the ignited one, and the blade color is really nice deep blue as well. And once again, it's just super, super nice application of the shiny metallic paint just to make it look super realistic. We saw the blaster earlier right here. It isn't painted at all, but the sculpt is really nice, really accurate to the one he held in the show. And then we have the two Lolas. So we'll just set Obi-Wan over there for a sec. And we have the kind of floating Lola, the hovering one, and then we have the one that's standing up with her ears kind of pointed up. And like I said, it would be awesome to have a Leia figure in TVC. We could reuse these same accessories. I wouldn't mind that at all. Also give her like her little holster. Basically, her look from the end of the show. I'll put up an image. It was really, really cute, and I would really love to have that as a figure to go with Obi-Wan. That would be really, really cool. So yeah. That's going to pretty much be it. Let me get Obi-Wan in a cool pose, and I'll give you guys a closer look at him before giving you my finishing thoughts and doing maybe some size comparisons.
Okay, so for size comparisons, here she is next to the...
Okay, so that's going to just about do it for my review of Obi-Wan Kenobi from the Kenobi series. Hopefully we get one from later in the series with his Jedi cloak. However he got that Jedi cloak, I have honestly no clue. Maybe, I guess since he was on Jabim, that was like the route where a lot of Jedi went through. So maybe he found like a lost and found with a Jedi cloak in it. I mean, I guess that would make sense. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Let's talk about the figure. The figure is good. It's a good figure. It's extremely hard to get him into a pose like this. This is pretty much the only one I could like make work. It took me a little while because with the soft goods cloak, the elbows cannot bend all the way, and this hand is super loose. Like the grip on it does not want to grip onto the lightsaber, so it was hard to get him to actually hold that lightsaber like that. But it looks really good now that it is like that, and I'm happy with it. But yeah, that's the main thing. Is I love the way the cloak looks. They really did a good job making it look good on the figure. And it doesn't hinder articulation nearly as much as like, you know, a vinyl cloak would. So it's super nice to have the soft goods cloak. It's just maybe, they layered up here, like at the elbow. I don't know if that was supposed to help the articulation, but I feel like that just made it might be like 2 layers right there. I'm not 100% sure why, but it's really hard to get the elbows to bend all the way because of the cloak. But yeah, the hood lays nice and flat down. It doesn't really fit on his head very well, but it lays nice and flat, and all the accessories look really good. The paint on the lightsabers is awesome, and the blaster fits in the holster really nicely. They just did a good job putting this figure together and executing it, and making it look good and making it function correctly, apart from, of course, the hindering of the articulation. But really, it's hard to avoid that. So yeah, I'd give this figure a positive review. I definitely recommend it. Just be aware of some of the issues, but it's definitely worth having if you're a 3 3/4 inch collector and you want to have a figure of Obi-Wan from the new series. So yeah, I really enjoyed making this review. If you guys enjoyed watching it, please leave a like. I'd really appreciate that. If you like Star Wars figure unboxings and reviews, I do TVCs, Black Series. I even do Marvel Legends on the channel as well. And really whatever I'm adding to my collection, I'll do a video on. So if you're into that, please consider subscribing in order to join the Knights of Mischief. We are so close to 300. We actually went over 300 for a little while, and then a couple of people dropped off. So now we're like just barely under 300. So if you guys could subscribe, get to 300, that would be awesome. And I'll, maybe in the description of the next review, I'll be able to say, thanks for reaching 300 subscribers or something like that. So hopefully you guys liked the video. Hopefully you liked it enough to stick around, check out some more because I've got more coming. So stay tuned. Even if you don't want to subscribe or leave a like, if you just want to keep watching, I appreciate that a lot as well. So thank you guys so much for sticking around and watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Goodbye.